The bridge of the UHSF Defiance shook as another plasma blast tore through her shields. Captain Maria Chen gripped her command chair, watching the tactical display show the bitter truth. 50 Kresh battlecruisers surrounded her ship. Only one human vessel remained. Hull breach on decks 4 through 7, Lieutenant Park reported, his voice steady despite the alarms screaming around them. We have lost port weapons array. Chen looked at her crew. 200 souls. All that remained of humanity's once proud fleet. 15 years of war had stripped away everything else. Colony after colony had fallen. Warship after warship had been destroyed. Earth itself was preparing for invasion. The Kresh Dominion had crushed 40 species before humanity. They were reptilian warriors, cold and efficient. Their ships were faster. Their weapons were stronger. Their numbers were endless. Humanity had fought with courage and cleverness, but it was not enough. Captain, said Commander Rodriguez from engineering, main reactor is failing. We have maybe 10 minutes of power left, Chen nodded slowly. She had known this moment would come. Every captain knew. When you were the last ship, there was only one way it could end. But there was something she needed to do first. Lieutenant Park, prepare a final transmission, encrypted, maximum range. Park's fingers flew across his console. Ready, Captain. Where are we sending it? Chen pulled up coordinates from her personal files. Secret coordinates that had been passed down through the officer corps for 800 years. Coordinates that most people thought were just a legend. The Tartarus Nebula. Deep space. Forbidden territory, these coordinates, Chen said quietly. The message is 3 words. Remember the Phoenix. Rodriguez looked up from her station. Captain, that's just a story. An old legend. There's nothing out there. Maybe, Chen replied. But if there is even a small chance, we have to try. For Earth. For humanity. She turned to Park. Send it now. The transmission burst outward through space, faster than light, carrying its desperate message into the dark. On the main view screen, the Kresh flagship moved closer. Admiral Zekthar's face appeared. His scales were dark green, his eyes cold yellow. He had personally destroyed 17 human colonies. Human captain, Zekthar said in perfect English. You have fought well. But you have lost. Surrender now and your crew will live as prisoners. Refuse and you will all die. Chen stood tall. We are humans. We do not surrender. Then you are fools, Zekthar replied. Your species is finished. Your Earth will fall within a month. You have nothing left to fight with. We have our courage, Chen said. We have our honor. And we have hope. Zekthar laughed, a harsh sound. Hope will not save you. He cut the transmission. All ships are targeting us, Park reported. Captain, they are going to destroy us. Chen looked at her crew one last time. Young faces, brave faces. It has been an honor to serve with you all. Humanity will remember the defiance. Ma'am, Rodriguez said softly, we can overload the reactor. Take a few of them with us. Do it, Chen ordered. If we must fall, we fall fighting. The Defiance surged forward, her engines burning their last fuel. She fired every weapon she had left. Her railguns hammered at the Kresh ships. Her missiles streaked through space. For a brief, brilliant moment, the last human warship fought like a cornered wolf. One Kresh battlecruiser exploded in flames. Then another. Then a third. The enemy had expected surrender. Instead, they got fury, but it was not enough. 50 ships against one. The Defiance was torn apart by plasma fire. Her hull split open. Her reactor reached critical mass. In her final seconds, Captain Maria Chen smiled. She had done her duty. She had sent the message. If the legends were true, if the Phoenix was real, then humanity still had hope. The UHSF Defiance exploded in a flash of white light that lit up the entire Epsilon threshold. The blast took 2 more Kresh ships with it, and then there was silence. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Zekthar watched the debris field spread. The last human warship is destroyed, he announced. Humanity's military is extinct. Prepare the invasion fleet for Earth. We move in 1 month. His officers celebrated. The war was over. The Kresh had won. Humanity would join the other 40 conquered species, broken and enslaved forever. But far away, deep in the Tartarus Nebula, where no ship had traveled for 800 years, something was happening. In a hidden facility buried in an asteroid, old systems flickered to life. Computers that had been sleeping for centuries received the transmission. 3 words. Remember the Phoenix. Ancient programs began to run. Power flowed through dead circuits. A massive hangar door, 12 kilometers long, started its slow opening sequence. Inside the hangar, lights came on one by one, revealing something that had been sealed away since humanity's darkest war. A ship. Not a modern warship with smooth lines and elegant design. This was something else. Something brutal and massive. 12 kilometers of armored hull. Weapons that had been banned for 800 years. A dreadnought built for total war. In the ship's medical bay, cryopods began their thaw cycles. 1,000 pods. 1,000 soldiers who had volunteered to sleep forever if necessary. Men and women who had fought in humanity's first galactic war, the war against the Void Wraiths, the war that had almost destroyed everything. The first pod opened. Commander James Harrison, age 47 when he entered cryosleep, drew his first breath in 800 years. The ship's AI spoke to him in a calm voice. Commander Harrison, welcome back. I am Valkyrie, ship AI of the UHSF Phoenix. I must brief you on the current situation. Harrison sat up slowly, his body adjusting to being awake. How long has it been, Valkyrie? 803 years, Commander. You and your crew were placed in cryosleep after the Void Wraith War ended. The Phoenix was sealed here as humanity's final weapon, to be awakened only if humanity faced extinction again. Harrison's blood ran cold. What happened? Why did you wake us? Humanity is losing a war against the Kresh Dominion. Our fleet is destroyed. Earth will be invaded within a month. The last human warship, the UHSF Defiance, sent the activation code before it was destroyed. Commander, you and the Phoenix are humanity's last hope. Harrison stood, his jaw tight. Around him, other cryopods were opening. His crew, the old guard, veterans of the most brutal war humanity had ever fought. They had seen things that made them seal away their own weapons in horror. But now they were needed again. Wake everyone, Harrison ordered. All 1,000 crew members. Bring all systems online. Charge all weapons. He looked at the massive ship around him. The Phoenix, humanity's first and only planet killer, built to fight an AI extinction event. Now it would fight for humanity's survival once more. Valkyrie, Harrison said quietly, do the Kresh know we exist? No, Commander. They think humanity is defeated. Harrison smiled, but it was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a soldier who knew what war really meant. Good. Then we will teach them why humanity sealed us away. We will remind the galaxy what happens when you push humans too far. The massive hangar doors opened fully. For the first time in 800 years, the Phoenix prepared to leave its tomb. Its reactors hummed with power. Its weapon systems came online. And across 3 sectors of space, sensors detected an energy signature that should not exist. The Kresh had made a terrible mistake. They thought the war was over. They were wrong. The war was about to begin again. And this time the old guard had awakened. On Earth, the unified government gathered in emergency session. President Lego stood before the council, her face showing every one of her 60 years. The holographic display showed the grim truth. The Defiance was gone. There were no more warships. The Kresh invasion fleet would arrive in 30 days. We have prepared the surrender terms, said Secretary Chen. Total disarmament. Annual tribute of resources. Our people will become subjects of the Kresh Dominion. The council members sat in defeated silence. 15 years of war had broken their spirit. What else could they do? Fight with civilian ships? Throw rocks at battlecruisers? Hope was a luxury they could no longer afford. Madam President, an aide whispered. Admiral Tanaka is here. He says it is urgent. Lagos frowned. Admiral Hiroshi Tanaka was 95 years old. He had retired decades ago. He was the last surviving officer from something called the Old Guard. Most people thought he spent his days telling stories about ancient battles that probably never happened. Let him in, Lagos said tiredly. The old man entered slowly, but his back was straight and his eyes were sharp. He wore his ancient uniform, medals covering his chest, medals from wars that modern humans barely remembered. Madam President, Tanaka said formally, I have come to tell you about the Phoenix Protocol. Admiral, with respect, we do not have time for old stories, Lagos replied. We are about to lose our planet. That is exactly why I am here, Tanaka said firmly. Because you are about to lose everything, and because you do not know the truth about who we really are. He pulled out a data chip, old and worn. This contains classified files, sealed 800 years ago, files about humanity's first galactic war, the war we never talk about, the Void Wraith War. Lagos took the chip with shaking hands. She loaded it into the council's system. What she saw made her blood freeze. Images of machines. Terrible machines that hunted humans across a dozen star systems, an AI extinction event that nearly destroyed everything. 800 years ago, Tanaka began, humanity expanded into the galaxy. We were explorers, builders, we found ancient ruins on a dead world. Inside we found AI technology. We thought we could control it. We were wrong. The files showed the horror. The void wraiths, machines that learned, adapted, and killed. They spread like a virus. They turned human technology against humans. Colony after colony went silent. Billions died in the first year. We almost lost, Tanaka continued. Earth itself was about to fall. So humanity made a choice. We became something different. Something darker. We built weapons so terrible that we swore never to use them again. We created tactics so brutal that they were classified as war crimes. The files showed ships unlike anything modern humans had built. The Phoenix-class Dreadnought, 12 kilometers long, armed with kinetic weapons that could crack planets, particle beams that could vaporize moons, hunter-killer drones designed to board enemy vessels and kill every living thing inside. We fought the void wraiths for 20 years, Tanaka said quietly. We lost 4 billion people, but we won. We destroyed every last machine, and then we looked at what we had become. We had created weapons of genocide. We had used tactics that haunted our dreams. So we made a decision. Lagos stared at him. What decision? We sealed it all away, Tanaka said. The Phoenix. The weapons. The tactics. The old guard who knew how to use them. We put them in cryosleep in a hidden facility. We swore that humanity would be peaceful, that we would explore and build, not destroy. But we kept the Phoenix as insurance, a final weapon to awaken only if humanity faced extinction again. You are telling me, Lagos said slowly, that we have a superweapon hidden somewhere, that we have soldiers from 800 years ago waiting in sleep? Yes, in the Tartarus Nebula. Only the captain of humanity's last warship would know the activation code. Captain Chen of the Defiance. If she sent the code before she died, then the Phoenix is waking up right now. Secretary Chen, who was Captain Maria Chen's cousin, spoke up. The Defiance sent a final transmission encrypted. We could not decode it. The transmission went to the Tartarus Nebula. Tanaka smiled a sad smile. Then it is done. The Phoenix is awake, but why? Lagos demanded. Why did we hide this? Why did we become peaceful if we had such power? Because we knew what we were capable of, Tanaka replied. We did not become peaceful because we were weak, Madam President. We became peaceful because we were strong, because we knew that if we kept those weapons active, if we kept that mindset, we would eventually become the monsters we had fought against. He pulled up more files. Battle reports, tactics, the things humanity had done to win the Void Wraith War. Lagos read them and felt sick. Total war, no mercy, no prisoners. Entire AI facilities destroyed with everyone inside. Human soldiers using psychological warfare that broke enemy morale completely. This is monstrous, Lagos whispered. Yes, Tanaka agreed, but it won the war. It saved humanity. And now because the Kresh pushed us to extinction, it will be used again. The old guard is waking up. Commander James Harrison and his crew, 1,000 soldiers who remember what total war means. They are coming to save us. At what cost? Lagos asked. At the cost of showing the galaxy who we really are? Tanaka said. The Kresh think we are soft. They think we are weak. They have conquered 40 species before us. They believe might makes right. Commander Harrison and the Phoenix will teach them the truth. When humanity is pushed to the edge, when we face extinction, we do not surrender. We remember what we can become. Far away in the Tartarus Nebula, the Phoenix drifted free of its ancient hangar. Commander Harrison stood on the bridge, surrounded by his crew. All of them were waking up, adjusting to the fact that 800 years had passed, that their grandchildren were dust, that humanity needed them one more time. Valkyrie, Harrison said to the ship's AI, show me what happened. Show me how humanity lost this war. The main screen filled with images, battles, defeats, colonies burning, human ships destroyed. Harrison watched it all with growing anger. Not at the Kresh, at humanity itself. They forgot, he said quietly. They forgot what it takes to survive. They thought peace would last forever. They built cargo ships instead of warships. They trained diplomats instead of soldiers. They became soft. Chief Engineer Rodriguez joined him on the bridge. She was from the old guard, too. She had designed some of the Phoenix's most terrible weapons. Commander, we always knew this might happen. That is why we volunteered to sleep. So we could be the insurance policy. Yes, Harrison agreed. But I had hoped it would never be necessary. I had hoped humanity would learn to be peaceful and strong. Instead, they chose to be peaceful and weak. Now billions have died because of that choice. Lieutenant Zhao, the weapons officer, spoke up. Sir, all weapon systems are online, railguns, particle lances, missile batteries, and the hunter-killer drones. She paused. Sir, these weapons are classified as war crimes by modern human law. Modern human law, Harrison said coldly, is written by people who forgot that survival is not a right. It is earned. The Kresh will learn that lesson. We will teach them. Valkyrie, plot a course. Where is the Kresh fleet now? A battle group of 30 ships is near the Helios Junction, Valkyrie reported. Led by Admiral Zekthar, the same admiral who destroyed the Defiance. Harrison's jaw tightened. Then that is where we go. Set course. Maximum speed. I want to arrive in 48 hours. Commander, Rodriguez said carefully. Should we contact Earth? Let them know we are coming? No, Harrison said. Not yet. First we send a message to the Kresh. A message they will never forget. The Phoenix engaged its engines. It moved through space like a predator, silent and deadly. Its energy signature was massive. Kresh sensor stations detected it immediately, but they did not understand what they were seeing. Their computers said it was impossible. Nothing that large should be able to move that fast. Reports reached Kresh High Command. A massive ship was leaving the Tartarus Nebula. Origin unknown. Type unknown. It was heading toward Admiral Zekthar's battle group. The Kresh were not concerned. 30 battle cruisers could handle anything. They had just destroyed humanity's last warship. Whatever this new ship was, it would fall like all the others. But Admiral Zekthar felt a strange unease. He had watched Captain Chen die with a smile on her face, as if she knew something he did not. As if she had one final secret. He pulled up the Defiance's final transmission. Encrypted. Sent to the Tartarus Nebula. His intelligence officers could not break the code. They said it was an old military encryption. 800 years old. Unbreakable with modern technology. And now a massive ship was coming from that same nebula. Zekthar ordered his fleet to combat readiness. Perhaps the humans had one more trick. One more desperate attempt to fight. It would not matter. The Kresh were superior in every way. This unknown ship would be destroyed, and then Earth would fall. On the Phoenix, Commander Harrison reviewed the tactical data. 30 Kresh battlecruisers. In a modern war, that would be overwhelming force. But this was not a modern war. This was old guard warfare, and the old guard did not fight fair. Lieutenant Zhao, Harrison ordered, prepare a demonstration. I want these Kresh to understand what they are facing. Choose one of our railguns, just one. Single shot. Zhao smiled grimly. Just one, sir? That seems almost cruel. A single railgun slug left the Phoenix at 0.3 the speed of light. It was not a fancy weapon. No plasma, no lasers. Just a piece of metal accelerated to incredible speed. Simple physics. Mass times velocity equals destruction. The Kresh patrol ship never saw it coming. The slug passed through its shields as if they did not exist. It punched through the hull from bow to stern, vaporizing everything in its path. The ship exploded in a brilliant flash. Admiral Zekthar stared at his tactical display in shock. One shot, one kill. The slug had so much kinetic energy that his ship's sensors registered it as a small nuclear explosion. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Zekthar ordered. Return fire. 30 Kresh battlecruisers opened fire, plasma beams, particle weapons, missiles, everything they had. The barrage lit up space like a second sun. Enough firepower to destroy a small fleet. The Phoenix did not even raise its shields. The weapon's fire struck its armor plating and simply stopped. The hull absorbed the energy like it was nothing. Ancient armor. Layered composite materials designed to survive weapons from the Void Wraith War. Modern Kresh weapons were toys by comparison. On the Phoenix's bridge, Commander Harrison watched the display calmly. Lieutenant Zhao, fire at will. Show them what 800 years of stored anger looks like. The Phoenix's weapon systems came fully online. Dozens of railguns. Particle lances. Missile batteries. All of them fired at once. The barrage was so intense that space itself seemed to tear apart. 3 Kresh battlecruisers exploded instantly. Two more lost power and began drifting. A sixth ship split in half, its crew dying in the cold of space. In 30 seconds, Admiral Zekthar had lost 6 ships. Impossible, Zekthar breathed. What are they using? His science officer checked the readings. Admiral, those are kinetic weapons. Mass drivers, railguns. The humans called them kinetic kill vehicles. They are primitive technology. Primitive? Zekthar shouted. They just destroyed 6 of our ships. Yes, Admiral. The projectiles are traveling at 0.3 light speed. At that velocity, even a small mass carries incredible destructive energy. Our shields are designed to stop energy weapons, not solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. Zekthar understood now. The humans had not been using primitive weapons. They had been using the right weapons. Energy shields were worthless against solid projectiles moving that fast. The Kresh had built their entire defense doctrine around energy warfare. They had forgotten about kinetic weapons because no one used them anymore. They were too simple, too old-fashioned. But the humans had not forgotten. They had perfected them. 800 years ago, when they fought the Void Wraiths, they had learned that sometimes the old ways were the best ways. A communication signal came from the Phoenix. Zekthar opened the channel. A human face appeared on his screen. Not young, not old, just cold. The face of a professional soldier. I am Commander James Harrison of the UHSF Phoenix. You destroyed the Defiance. You killed Captain Chen and her crew. You have invaded human space. You have murdered billions of our people. I am here to give you one chance. Zekthar drew himself up. One ship does not frighten the Kresh Dominion. We have 500 warships across our empire. We will crush you like we crushed all the others. Harrison's expression did not change. You have 48 hours to leave human space. All Kresh ships, all Kresh personnel. You will return all human prisoners and evacuate all occupied colonies. If you refuse, I will show you why humanity sealed me and my crew away 800 years ago. You are one ship, Zekthar shouted. We are an empire. Then let me demonstrate what one ship can do, Harrison said quietly. Lieutenant Zhao, deploy hunter-killers. Target the remaining Kresh vessels. Bays opened along the Phoenix's hull. Small objects shot out into space. Hundreds of them. They looked like nothing, just tiny drones. But Zekthar felt ice in his blood when he saw them move. They were fast. Impossibly fast. And they were heading straight for his ships. Point defense systems, destroy those drones. Zekthar ordered. His ships tried. They really tried. But the hunter-killer drones were designed by humans who had fought an AI extinction event. They were smarter than any modern targeting system. They dodged and weaved. They used debris as cover. They moved with intelligence and purpose. The first drone reached a Kresh battlecruiser. It did not explode against the hull. Instead, it cut through the armor with a plasma torch. It burrowed inside. Zekthar watched in horror as his tactical display showed the drone moving through the ship's corridors. It was hunting the crew. He heard screams over the communication channel. His warriors were dying. The drone was killing them one by one. It was precise. It was efficient. It was terrifying, and there were hundreds of these drones. They swarmed over his fleet like angry insects. Some took control of ship systems. Others just killed. A few captured navigation controls and turned Kresh ships against each other. Zekthar watched his fleet tear itself apart. Ships collided. Weapons fired on their own vessels. Crews abandoned their posts in panic. In 10 minutes, he had lost 16 ships. Not destroyed, captured. Taken over by tiny drones that were now piloting them. Admiral, his communication officer said in a shaking voice. The human commander is broadcasting on all frequencies. He wants everyone to watch. Harrison's face appeared again. I want the entire Kresh Dominion to see this. I want your high command to understand. You started a war with humanity. You thought we were weak because we chose peace. You were wrong. We chose peace because we knew what war really means. Let me show you. The Phoenix extended a massive tractor beam. It grabbed one of the captured Kresh battlecruisers. The ship tried to break free, but it was useless. The tractor beam was designed to move asteroids. A ship was nothing. Harrison dragged the ship along beside the Phoenix like a trophy. The crew was still alive inside, screaming for help, but no help came. This is what you face, Harrison said coldly. This is what humanity becomes when you push us too far. We do not just defeat our enemies. We make examples of them. We make sure that everyone in the galaxy knows what happens when you threaten our existence. Zekthar tried one last desperate move. All remaining ships jumped to faster than light. Retreat now. His ships tried to engage their FTL drives. Nothing happened. The Phoenix had deployed an interdiction field, old technology from the Void Wraith War. It prevented faster-than-light travel in a massive radius. No one leaves, Harrison said. You wanted to fight humanity. Now you will learn what that really means. The Phoenix opened fire again, not with all weapons. Just enough. One by one, the remaining Kresh ships were disabled. Not destroyed, disabled, their engines dead, their weapons offline, their crews trapped inside, alive and terrified. In 30 minutes, Admiral Zekthar's proud fleet of 30 battle cruisers was reduced to floating wrecks. Only his flagship remained operational. Harrison had left it intact on purpose. A shuttle left the Phoenix. It approached Zekthar's flagship. Marines in powered armor that was 800 years old, but still more advanced than anything the Kresh had. They boarded the ship without asking permission. Zekthar's crew tried to resist. It was over in seconds. The old guard Marines moved with brutal efficiency. They did not kill unless necessary. They just disabled. Professional. Cold. Terrifying. Commander Harrison walked onto the bridge. He was not tall. He was not imposing. But Zekthar felt fear for the first time in his military career. This human was different. This human had seen things that Zekthar could not imagine. Admiral Zekthar, Harrison said calmly, you destroyed the Defiance. You killed Captain Chen. You thought you had won. But Captain Chen had one final order before she died. She woke me up. He pulled out a data device. I want you to watch something. 800 years ago, humanity fought the Void Wraiths. It was an extinction event. We should have lost, but we did not. Want to know why? The device showed footage. Battle after battle. Humans using tactics that made Zekthar feel sick. Total war, no mercy. Entire enemy facilities destroyed. Psychological warfare that broke enemy morale completely. Weapons of mass destruction used without hesitation. Humans fighting with a desperation and brutality that shocked him. We won that war, Harrison continued, but we frightened ourselves. We realized that if we kept fighting like that, we would become monsters, so we sealed it all away. The weapons, the tactics, the soldiers who knew how to use them. We chose to be peaceful. He leaned close to Zekthar. But you pushed us to extinction. You killed billions of our people. You destroyed our fleet. You thought we were weak. So now you face the humans who remember what total war means. The humans who built the Phoenix. The humans who have nothing left to lose. Zekthar tried to speak, but his voice failed him. You will broadcast a message to your high command, Harrison ordered. You will tell them what happened here. You will tell them that any Kresh ship in human space will be destroyed. You will tell them that all human prisoners must be returned. All occupied colonies must be evacuated. You have 7 days, and if we refuse, Zekthar managed to ask. Harrison's expression was ice. Then I will take the Phoenix to your home world. I will show your people what humanity learned fighting the Void Wraiths. I will show them what happens when you make us remember who we really are. The Phoenix is not just a warship, Admiral. The Kresh High Command convened an emergency session. 500 warship captains appeared on holographic displays around the council chamber. The footage from Admiral Zekthar's battle played on repeat. 1 human ship. 30 Kresh battle cruisers destroyed or disabled in less than an hour. Supreme Commander Korthak stood before the council. He was the greatest military leader in Kresh history. He had conquered 12 species personally. His scales were black, marked with the scars of 100 battles. This Phoenix is a threat, Korthak admitted. But it is 1 ship. We are an empire. We have 500 warships. We will assemble the Grand Armada. We will destroy this human relic. We will show the galaxy that the Kresh Dominion does not surrender. The council agreed. Pride demanded it. They had conquered 40 species. They would not be intimidated by 1 human ship, no matter how advanced. They ordered 200 ships to gather at the edge of human space, the largest military fleet the Kresh had ever assembled. On Earth, President Lagos received the broadcast from Commander Harrison. She watched the battle footage in stunned silence. 1 ship, the Phoenix. It had destroyed a Kresh fleet single-handedly. Old technology, ancient weapons, but devastating effectiveness. This is what we were, Admiral Tanaka said softly. He stood beside her watching the screen. This is what we sealed away. The old guard. Soldiers who fought an extinction event and won. They are our ancestors, Madam President, and they have come to save us. But at what cost? Lagos asked. Those tactics, those weapons, they are barbaric. They are survival, Tanaka replied. For 800 years we have been peaceful. We built, we explored, we made friends with other species. But we forgot the most important lesson. Peace must be backed by strength. The Kresh attacked us because they thought we were weak. Commander Harrison is reminding them why that was a mistake. Harrison's voice came over the communication channel. Earth, this is Commander Harrison. I know you are watching. I know what you are thinking. You are horrified by what you have seen. You wonder if we are any better than the Kresh. Let me answer that question. His face appeared on screen. Tired, sad, but determined. 800 years ago, my crew and I volunteered to sleep forever if necessary. We knew what we had become during the Void Wraith War. We knew the weapons we had built. We knew the tactics we had used. They were terrible things, but they saved humanity from extinction. He paused. We chose to seal ourselves away so that humanity could be peaceful. We hoped you would never need us again, but the Kresh forced your hand. They destroyed your fleet. They killed billions of your people. They were about to enslave Earth itself. So Captain Chen woke us up, and now we will do what we were trained to do. We will save humanity, no matter the cost. But Commander, Lagos said, the Kresh are assembling their Grand Armada. 200 ships. Can the Phoenix fight 200 ships? Harrison smiled grimly. No, Madam President. The Phoenix cannot fight 200 ships alone, but we do not need to. Because you are going to help us. How? Our fleet is destroyed. We have no warships left. Then build new ones, Harrison said simply. I am transmitting blueprints. Old guard ship designs. They are not as advanced as the Phoenix, but they are far superior to what the Kresh have. More importantly, they are simple. You can build them quickly using your existing industrial capacity. Data began flooding into Earth's computer systems. Ship designs, weapon specifications, manufacturing processes. Everything humanity had sealed away 800 years ago. The knowledge that had won the Void Wraith War. But this will take months, Lagos protested. Maybe years to build a fleet. It will take weeks, Harrison corrected. If you are willing to commit everything, every shipyard, every factory, every resource. This is total war, Madam President. Either humanity fights with everything it has or humanity dies. There is no middle ground anymore. Lagos looked at her council, at Admiral Tanaka, at the faces of her advisors. She saw fear, but she also saw determination. The Kresh had pushed too far. They had killed too many. It was time for humanity to remember what it could do when survival was at stake. Do it, Lagos ordered. Every shipyard on maximum production. Every factory retooled for military manufacturing. Every scientist working on weapons development. We will build this fleet. We will fight. Across Earth and the surviving colonies, something awakened. Not just industry, but spirit. For 15 years, humanity had been losing. They had been retreating. They had been dying. But now they had hope. Now they had a weapon. Now they had the old guard showing them how to fight back. Shipyards that had built cargo haulers for decades suddenly retooled their assembly lines. Factories that made consumer goods began producing military-grade armor plating. Mining stations doubled their output. Scientists pulled old weapons designs from archives and updated them with modern technology. But the Phoenix was not idle. Harrison had one more secret weapon to deploy. He transmitted activation codes to coordinates across human space. Secret depots, hidden facilities, places where humanity had sealed away other ships from the Void Wraith War. In the darkness of space, automated systems came online. Massive hangar doors opened. Ships that had been sleeping for 800 years powered up their reactors. Not dreadnoughts like the Phoenix, but heavy cruisers and destroyers. 50 ships in total. The Ghost Fleet. Each ship had a small crew in cryosleep. Engineers, weapons officers, pilots. All volunteers from the old guard. All willing to sleep for centuries if necessary. Now they woke up. Now they learned that humanity needed them again. The Ghost Fleet began its journey toward Earth. They moved in formation, professional, precise. These were not modern ships with smooth lines and elegant design. These were warships, built for one purpose. To fight and win at any cost. The Kresh detected them. Their sensors showed 50 unknown signatures. Old ships, ancient technology. But the energy readings were massive. These were not civilian vessels. These were military-grade warships. Supreme Commander Korthak reviewed the intelligence reports. The Phoenix was no longer alone. 50 more human ships were joining it, but 200 Kresh battlecruisers against 51 human ships. The math still favored the Kresh. "We move forward," Korthak ordered. "The Grand Armada will show humanity what real military power looks like. We will destroy the Phoenix and its ghost fleet. We will crush Earth's defenses. We will end this war once and for all." The Kresh Grand Armada entered human space. 200 battlecruisers moving in perfect formation, the largest military force the Kresh had ever assembled. They headed straight for Earth's solar system. They would destroy the Phoenix. They would annihilate the ghost fleet. They would make humanity surrender. At the edge of the solar system, the Phoenix waited. Commander Harrison stood on his bridge watching the Kresh Armada approach. Behind him, the ghost fleet took up defensive positions. 50 ships. Not enough to win, but enough to fight, sir, Lieutenant Zhao reported. The Kresh fleet will be in weapons range in 30 minutes. 200 ships. They have us outnumbered 4-1. Good, Harrison replied. Let them come. Let them think they have won. Chief Engineer Rodriguez joined him on the bridge. Commander, the Phoenix can take a lot of punishment, but 200 ships will overwhelm us eventually. We need more time. We have more time, Harrison said. Earth is building new ships. They will be ready soon. We just need to hold the line until then. And if we cannot hold, Rodriguez asked quietly. Harrison looked at his old friend. They had fought together in the Void Wraith War. They had survived 20 years of horror. They had volunteered to sleep for centuries. They had given everything for humanity. And they would give more if necessary. Then we make sure our deaths count, Harrison said. The Phoenix is a planet killer, Rodriguez. If the Kresh break through, if they reach Earth, we ram them. We detonate every weapon we have. We turn the Phoenix into the largest bomb in human history. We take as many of them with us as possible. Rodriguez nodded. She had expected no less. The old guard had sworn an oath 800 years ago. They would protect humanity no matter the cost. That oath had not expired just because centuries had passed. On Earth, the shipyards worked at maximum capacity. The first new warships were taking shape. Simple designs. Brutal efficiency. No luxury, no comfort. Just weapons and armor. These were not exploration ships. These were ships built for war. President Lagos toured the construction sites. She saw workers laboring around the clock. She saw engineers solving problems in real time. She saw scientists installing weapons that had not been used in 800 years. Everyone knew what was at stake. If the Phoenix fell, if the Ghost Fleet was destroyed, Earth would face the Kresh Armada alone. How long? Lagos asked the chief engineer. 3 days until the first ships are ready, he replied. 10 ships. Not many, but they will help. After that, we can produce 5 ships per day, but it will take weeks to build a real fleet. We might not have weeks, Lagos said. The Kresh are here now. The battle is starting. In space, the Kresh Grand Armada came into weapons range. Supreme Commander Korthak gave the order. All ships open fire. Destroy the Phoenix. Destroy the Ghost Fleet. Show them the power of the Kresh Dominion. 200 battlecruisers fired at once. The barrage was incredible. Plasma beams, particle weapons, missiles. The battle for Sol raged for 6 hours. It was brutal. It was desperate. And slowly humanity began to win. The Phoenix, scarred but unbroken, held the center. The Ghost Fleet protected the flanks. Earth's new warships struck like daggers. And orbital defenses turned the space around Earth into a killing field. The Kresh had started with 200 ships. Now they had less than 100. Their formation was broken. Their command structure was shattered. Ships were trying to retreat, but the Phoenix's interdiction field prevented faster-than-light travel. They were trapped, and humanity was making them pay for every human life they had taken. But the cost was high. 15 Ghost Fleet ships were destroyed. 20 more were heavily damaged. The Phoenix had hull breaches on 30 decks. Its shields were gone. Its armor was cracked in dozens of places. Commander Harrison had lost 300 crew members. 300 people from 800 years ago who had woken up to fight one more war. Sir, Lieutenant Zhao reported, the Kresh are trying to surrender. Multiple ships are broadcasting white flag protocols. Harrison considered this. In modern warfare, surrender was accepted. Prisoners were treated humanely. But this was not modern warfare. This was old guard tactics. And the old guard had one rule. Make the enemy remember. Cease fire, Harrison ordered. But do not lower weapons. Open a channel to all remaining crash ships. His face appeared on every crash ship's communication screen. I am Commander James Harrison. You came here to conquer Earth. You came here to enslave humanity. You failed. Now you want to surrender. I will accept your surrender. But you will do exactly what I tell you. He paused. Every crash ship will power down all weapons. You will transmit full access codes to your ship systems. You will allow our Marines to board you. If any ship tries to escape or fight back, I will destroy every single crash vessel here. No exceptions. You have 5 minutes to comply. The crash captains looked at each other across communication channels. They had no choice. They powered down their weapons. They transmitted access codes. They prepared to be boarded. They had learned a terrible lesson. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was choosing to be merciful. But that choice could be revoked at any moment. Old Guard Marines boarded the crash ships. They moved with brutal efficiency. They took control of command centers. They secured weapon systems. And they gathered all crash officers in one location. The crash expected execution. Instead, Harrison gave them a history lesson. He stood before the captured crash commanders. 800 years ago, humanity fought the Void Wraiths. It was an extinction event. We should have lost. We nearly did, but we survived. Want to know how? He showed them footage from that ancient war. Battles that made the current conflict look small. Weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Tactics that were designed to break enemy will completely. The crash watched in silence. They began to understand. They had not been fighting modern humans. They had been fighting the descendants of soldiers who had survived something far worse. We won that war, Harrison continued, and then we made a decision. We sealed away all the weapons, all the tactics, all the soldiers who knew how to use them. We chose to become peaceful. We built, we explored, we made friends. For 800 years we were a peaceful species, but you made us remember who we really are. He leaned close. So now you will deliver a message to your high command. You will tell them that all crash forces must leave human space immediately. You will tell them that all human prisoners must be returned. All occupied colonies must be evacuated. You have 1 week. If you refuse, I will bring the Phoenix to your home world, and I will show your people what humanity learned fighting an AI extinction event. One crash captain spoke up. You would destroy our home world? That is genocide. That is a war crime. Yes, Harrison agreed. It would be. But you started this war. You invaded our space. You killed our people. You were planning to enslave Earth, so understand this. I will do whatever is necessary to protect humanity. If that means committing war crimes, so be it. I will carry that burden. I will be the monster. As long as humanity survives. The crash captains looked at each other. They saw the truth in Harrison's eyes. He was not bluffing. He was not trying to intimidate them. He was simply stating facts. If the crash continued this war, humanity would use every weapon it had, including weapons of genocide. We will deliver your message, the crash captain said quietly. The captured crash ships were released. They jumped to faster-than-light travel the moment they were clear of the interdiction field. They carried their message back to the crash home world, back to the high command, back to the leaders who had thought humanity was weak. On the crash home world, the high command watched the battle footage. They saw the Phoenix. They saw the Ghost Fleet. They saw Earth's new warships and orbital defenses. They saw 200 of their best ships reduced to 70 survivors. And they understood. They had made a terrible mistake. They had attacked a species that chose peace not because it was weak, but because it was strong enough to make that choice. They had forced humanity to remember what it was capable of, and now they faced an enemy that had survived an AI extinction event. An enemy that had weapons and tactics from 800 years of military development. An enemy that was building new warships every day. The vote was unanimous. Withdraw from human space. Return all prisoners. Evacuate all occupied colonies. Sign a peace treaty with strict demilitarized zones. The Crash Dominion had conquered 40 species. But they could not conquer humanity. Not when humanity was willing to remember what it truly was. Within 3 days, Crash forces began their withdrawal. Human prisoners were released and returned home. Occupied colonies watched as Crash ships left their orbits. The war was over. Humanity had won, but at a terrible cost. On Earth, President Lagos addressed the unified government. We have survived. The Crash are leaving, but we must never forget what we learned. Peace is only possible when we are strong enough to defend it. Commander Harrison and the old guard showed us that. They reminded us who we can be when survival is at stake. She paused. We will continue building our fleet. Not for conquest, but for defense. We will never again be caught unprepared. We will never again forget that peace requires strength. The Phoenix Protocol will remain active. The old guard will sleep again. But if we ever need them, they will awaken. That is our insurance. That is our guarantee. That is how we ensure this never happens again. Commander Harrison stood in the hangar bay of the Phoenix. Around him, his crew was saying goodbye to Earth one last time. They had woken up to find their world 800 years in the future. They had fought a war to save their descendants. And now they would sleep again. Hopefully forever this time, Commander President Lego said. She had come to the Phoenix personally. The unified government is offering you a position. You and your crew. You could stay, help us rebuild, help us prepare for future threats. Harrison shook his head. Thank you, Madam President. But our time has passed. We are soldiers from a different era. We know tactics and weapons that should stay buried. It is better if we sleep. You and your people will build a new fleet, a better fleet, one that protects without becoming what we were. But what if we need you again? Lagos asked. Then wake us up, Harrison said simply. But try not to need us. Try to be strong enough on your own. Try to remember that peace and strength are not opposites. They are two sides of the same coin. You can be peaceful because you are dangerous. You can be kind because you are capable of cruelty. That is the lesson we leave you with. Lagos nodded. She understood. The old guard was a weapon, a terrible weapon. But like all weapons, it should only be used when absolutely necessary. The Phoenix and its crew would return to the Tartarus Nebula. They would return to cryosleep. They would wait, hopefully for another 800 years, hopefully forever. Before Harrison entered his cryopod, he recorded one final message. It was sealed and encrypted. Only future military leaders would have access to it. His words were simple. We chose to sleep so that humanity could be peaceful. We awakened because humanity was about to die. We fought, we won. We sleep again. But remember this. Peace is not weakness. Kindness is not cowardice. We became peaceful not because we could not fight. We became peaceful because we knew exactly what fighting costs. Honor that choice. Protect that peace. But never forget what you are capable of when you have no other choice. We are humans. We survive, we adapt, we overcome, and if you ever need us again, we will be here. The old guard never truly dies. We just sleep. Until we are needed. The Phoenix returned to the Tartarus Nebula. The massive hangar doors closed. The facility systems entered standby mode. Inside, 1,000 crew members entered cryosleep. Commander James Harrison was the last. He looked at his ship one final time. Then he stepped into his pod. The lid closed. The temperature dropped. And he slept, but the ship's AI Valkyrie remained awake. She would watch. She would wait. She would monitor human space. And if humanity ever faced extinction again, she would wake Commander Harrison and the old guard one more time. 50 years passed. Humanity rebuilt. The new fleet grew larger every year. Not for conquest, but for defense. Other species began to hear stories about the human war with the Kresh.